Senator Bernie Sanders from Vermont. So Hillary Clinton's way too conservative for you, right, Senator?
I would say she's way too conservative, given the problems that this country faces, which is a massive level of wealth and income inequality, a collapsing middle class, and the need to create millions of jobs. The question is, what candidate is out there prepared to deliver for the American working people?
Okay, but it's really tough for a person like Hillary Clinton, who's getting $250,000 a pop for a speech, and who made an enormous amount of money off some kind of commodities trade way back in Arkansas. I think she invested $1,000 and came away with $100,000. It's got to be pretty hard for her to attack the financial system and high-wage earners, is it not?
Well, it may be, but it's hard for any of the candidates out there who today are receiving huge amounts of money from the very wealthiest people in this country.
But that describes her to a T. She's receiving huge amounts of money, and not only from people in America, but from Saudi Arabia and you know, God knows where.
But Bill, let's be fair. It is all candidates out there who are now using super PACs because of this disastrous Citizens United decision. The real question, it's not just Hillary and it's not just the Republican candidates. Can a candidate run for president of the United States today trying to represent working families? Can you run a decent campaign, or must you be dependent on billionaires?
No, you can, but you have to be charismatic. You have to be grassroots, because the folks will donate to somebody they believe in. I mean, that's what a few candidates are trying to do now, who don't have, you know, the cachet connections to raise the money. Look, I don't like the money either. But what I'm trying to tell you is, in the Democratic Party, of which you're a member.
No, I'm an independent, Bill.
Yeah, but you caucus with them, all right?
I caucus with the Democrats,
right.
Yes.
Okay. You got a big problem here. If you're going to attack the financial system, the bankers and the fat cats, you're using a person who's exploited the financial system and who is a fat cat to do it. That's not going to fly.
All right. Well, look, here's the situation. I voted against the Wall Street bailout. I happen to think that the concentration of ownership on Wall Street, where you have 6 financial institutions having almost $10 trillion in assets, is very dangerous for this country. I think we need to break them up. And if you're asking me, how many candidates have the guts to say we got to break up these huge Wall Street firms? That's a good question.
No,
I don't know of anybody else who's thinking of running.
There's nobody on the grid. Well, then you got to run, because nobody on the grid right now is going to go that far. You know, Teddy Roosevelt did a little bit of what you're suggesting.
Yes.
And I think
that's right.
If you would present it in a way that it isn't the government running the economy, that you might get a hearing on it. But unfortunately, you know, socialists, and you're one of those, want the government to run the economy.
I'm a democratic socialist.
Yeah. And socialists want the government to run the economy.
One second. All right. First of all, let me agree with you and then disagree with you. If Teddy Roosevelt were alive today, Roosevelt, a good Republican, he would break up these huge financial institutions on Wall Street and a lot of other industries as well, because we have a huge concentration of ownership in this country that is very dangerous. Second point, as a democratic socialist, whose view is similar to many governments throughout Europe, no, I do not believe government should control everything. But I do believe that health care should be a right of all people. I do believe that college education should be affordable to all people. And I do believe that the United States Congress should not be by a handful of billionaires.
But that's a big government vision, and that's where you and I pretty much disagree. But look, you've been firm to your, and the good people of Vermont have elected you, so there you are. Now, Iran.
Well, Bill, I'm not going to ask you. I'm not going to ask you to be my vice presidential candidate. That's it.
Well, if you might have a chance if you did. Now, Iran. All right.
Yeah.
The deal is a bad deal for us. You know that. Everybody who can read knows that.
No, I don't know that.
You really believe? Do you really trust the mullahs? Do you really trust them not to cheat? Do you really? Well, they're saying, Senator, we're not going to let you inspect our military installations. Okay, come on. All
right, look, Bill, this is what you got. You got a situation where I don't trust Iran, the Iranians don't trust the United States. This agreement is not being built on trust.
Well, what is it being built on?
Verification.
But if they say they're not going to look, the mullah came out, Khomeini came out last week, says we're not going to let you inspect our military installations, Senator. You heard him.
All right. Yeah, but the military installations, what we will inspect is whether or not they have a capability of moving toward a nuclear weapon.
How would you
That
know
we
if you
will
can't inspect the military installations where they hide the stuff? How would you know?
Well, but you're assuming that they hide themselves. I am assuming that we're going to have an agreement.
I'm assuming that.
I am. All right, well, Bill, we can, argue till the cows come home. Here's the bottom line to me. All right. I voted against the war in Iraq because I thought it would do what it did, destabilize the region. What we need to do is to make sure that Iran does not get a nuclear weapon. But I got to tell you, I am not pleased that we have a number of my colleagues here who think they're going to war against Iran would be okay. It would not be okay. So I support
a last resort.
That the president is. I'm sorry?
It's a last resort, but it has to be in play if you are definitely going to stop them. But
it's a horrible resort, and we have to do everything that we can to prevent that.
All right, but we can't be foolish, and that's what
I
think everybody wants, a deal that would be good for the free world. Senator, thanks very much. It's always a pleasure to talk with you. Next.